about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
To multivitamin or not multivitamin? That is the question. Should you be taking multivitamins? People have asked that. I'm mixed. I'd rather you eat the vegetables. I'd rather you eat the healthy food. But let's say our vegetables are depleted. Oh, because we're eating a lot of, let's say, iceberg lettuce that doesn't have a lot of, it adds roughage. It adds water to our diet. But, let's say the vegetables we have access to just aren't enough. Should we go to multivitamins? Well, we have an interesting study saying that multivitamins may slow biological aging in older adults, looking at the wear and tear at the cellular level. And NBC News is reporting that in a study of 958 older adults, those who took a daily multivitamin for 2 years experienced slowed biological aging for about 4 months. What does that mean? Well, that means in 2 years' time or in 24 months, they only aged 20 months at the cellular level. Okay, when I'm sold, that's all I need. I mean, I have been putting on a lot of miles. I'm aging way more than I need to. Now, chronological age is how much time has passed since birth. We have birth certificates and we have dates and calendars. Biological age, to me, is more important because it reflects a wear and tear on the body. I know 90-year-olds that look like they're in their 60s. Yet I know 20-year-olds who have a biological age of 40. So our biological age is extremely important. And in addition to our chronological age before our health. Howard says so, an associate director of preventative medicine at Brigham and Women's Hospital, Harvard, and the study's senior author, said, now look, this doesn't mean that your multivitamins are going to make you live longer. But what it means is that your trajectory of health moving forward should stand to benefit. It's hard to know what those 4 months truly translate into. And does that mean for every 2 years you gain 4 months? So then, Then in 10 years you're gaining 20 months? I mean, is it linear or does it level off? They say people who had shown signs of accelerated biological aging at the start of the trial saw greater benefit from daily multivitamins. The study was part of the Cocoa Supplement and Multivitamin Outcome Study. It's a large Brigham and Women's Hospital trial designed to show whether cocoa extract, I get a lot of that, and our multivitamins reduce the risk of developing cancer and heart disease. So they looked at healthy older adults, men 60 and older, women 65 and older with a chronological average age of 70. They were randomly assigned to 1 of 4 groups, took the following pills daily: cocoa extract and a multivitamin, or just a multivitamin, or just the cocoa, or placebos, which are dummy pills, we call them. Not that they have lack of intelligence, but they're just pills that people think either have the multivitamin or cocoa, but they're not. So the study was funded by Haleon. Haleon is a former Pfizer consumer healthcare company, and they provided the multivitamins, and Mars Inc., which provided the cocoa extract. I tell you, I am a frequent shopper of Mars. So after 2 years, researchers used 5 epigenetic clocks to estimate how participants aged. These biomarkers look at changes in DNA. They say compared to the placebo group, people in the multivitamin-only group aged a bit more slowly, measured by 2 of the 5 clocks. Remember we talked about that PC Grim age and the PC Pheno age. These are clocks that these researchers are using. And they found that it slowed aging by 1.4 months and 2.6 months respectively. So they say participants in the group who had exhibited accelerated biological aging at the outset saw double the slowing of the PC Grim age by about 2.8 months. Sadly, the cocoa extract had no effect on any of the 5 measures of biological aging, which stinks because I really, really consume cocoa religiously. So, okay, what does this mean? Does this mean you got to get multivitamins? Well, which multivitamin? I mean, do we know what's the healthiest multivitamin? We've known that there's been studies looking at that many of these products don't necessarily have what they advertise. I have my favorite, I have my go-to, but does it mean I'm really, really getting those vitamins in? Now, I've said this from the beginning. Nothing can replicate nature. If you are eating a bell pepper, if you're eating a ripe tomato, a green cucumber, with the skin on it, you are getting vitamins that we can't replicate in a lab. Yes, we can give you in multivitamins B complex. We can give you vitamin D. We can give you calcium supplementation. But your body is designed for the natural, which is why you got to get the natural in you. However, I do support using multivitamins or vitamin D supplementation or calcium supplementation if you're not getting it enough in your diet. You got to be careful. Sometimes these calcium supplements could, cause kidney stones. There's been studies looking at cardiac effects with some of them. I mean, make sure that you are contacting or in contact with your medical provider and making sure that they are, shall we say, supervising your regimen and endorsing what you're taking. But yeah, I think multivitamins have huge roles. And another thing is I know they looked at healthy people, but was the population who's taking these multivitamins, already people that are health conscious? They do their exercise, they brush their teeth, they take care of their bodies, and then boom, they take their multivitamins. Now, the study made it sound like they just took the random people and said, here, now we're going to put you on these. But if you like your multivitamin, if your multivitamin is working, if you think that you are, going to stick with it, stick with it. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if you don't eat healthy and you're thinking, I could just take my gummy vitamin and be fine, I have a problem with that. Now, I did that the other day where I had some arroz con pollo. I just wanted some comfort food, the chicken and cheese and rice. And I'm like, I didn't have a vitamin. I'm like, darn, I didn't have a vitamin. So, or vegetables. So I ran and got the multivitamin. No, it doesn't work that way. I need to find some vegetables. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Let's face it, guys, we're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI. So many of you heard about the Anderson brothers. We spoke about them a while back. These were three brothers who were accused of drugging women, raping multiple women, two of whom are these luxury real estate brokers. And apparently there was this 5-week trial that just ended on Monday where they were convicted of sex trafficking charges. And the verdict came after 11 women testified that they were assaulted or raped by one or more of the brothers. There's Oren and Alon Alexander. They're twins, 38 years old, and Tal Alexander, 39 years old. So apparently these women described attacks that occurred when they were invited to, these places like a ski trip in Aspen or the Hamptons or a Caribbean cruise. One woman said she was attacked at a real estate convention. And apparently there were more than 60 victims, according to New York 4. When you look at what the scenario was, apparently the Oren brothers were accused of putting things into their alcohol, handing them a drink. And they might have used cocaine, they might have used mushrooms, GHB, gamma hydroxybutyric acid. The GHB, known as liquid G or liquid ecstasy, it's not necessarily tasteless, but there could be a little salty taste, but alcohol could sadly hide it. And what these women described was that after they would drink, within one drink, they felt like they lost control of their body. And, they would wake up nude or, unfortunately, waking up to seeing them on top of them. Or, in fact, one woman testified that she met one of the brothers at a party at Zac Efron's house. Zac Efron, not named. She said she had no interaction with the actor. But, these were individuals kind of ringing similar to like the Epstein case where, Jeffrey Epstein, where, they hobnob with stars and celebrities and they get entrenched in this high society. And then unfortunately, that's where they find victims. Maybe they think that people will be, in awe by their money, or they think that they'll get a chance to be famous, or who knows how they draw their victims. But unfortunately, these medications, GHB is similar to Rohypnol. It's a benzodiazepine, but a Rohypnol is a extreme sedative, kind of like 10 times stronger than Valium. But GHB, it is such a potent central nervous system depressant, also acts like a sedative, and it is widely used for abuse and used for sexual assault. Why? Well, because it causes a rapid loss of consciousness and amnesia. And so if, there's a bystander or something like, oh, she's drunk. Oh, she drank too much. I'll take her home. And, bystanders are people in a party, or they don't know if somebody was drugged or not. See, me, I always assume somebody's drugged or somebody's having a medical event, because passing out, to me, a loss of consciousness is a medical event. Now, even if it's from alcohol, if I hear that a child passed out, a teenager, or a college student because he drank too much alcohol, I'm worried they're going to aspirate on their vomit. I'm worried they're going to go into respiratory distress. So to me, they're all medical events. Anytime somebody passes out, how do you know it's not a heart attack, not a stroke, not a drug overdose, not a poisoning? But apparently with GHB, it can come on pretty quickly. And when somebody does, shall we say, get exposed to it, the effects could last hours. So they might at first feel euphoric, relaxed. They might lower their inhibitions. So, people around you at a party might be like, okay, well, you're having a good time. You're hanging all over the person, whatever. Then you get drowsy. You could get dizzy. You could also get nauseous, and you could start vomiting. Unfortunately, you could also start to tremor. You could seize and go into respiratory failure. It could also affect your heart. It could dangerously slow down your heart. Some people might get a tachycardia. Some people might get a bradycardia. And then, as I said before, if you're passed out, unfortunately, you could run the risk of aspirating on vomit. And that can, when people say, well, they drowned in their own vomit, unfortunately, that's a huge, huge risk, especially of anybody that could be losing consciousness. So, when a suspect tries to drug somebody, and they'll mix it with alcohol or opioids or benzodiazepines. And these things are so dangerous. And then you get this amnesia which for criminals, they love GHB or Rohypnol because the victim might not remember. And so when they say, but it was consensual, like these Anderson brothers, they said everybody who they slept with was consenting. And they're just looking for money. Although a couple of victims are wealthy themselves. And so I don't think the jury bought it. They said prosecutors pushed back on the idea that the accusers were hoping to cash in on lawsuits. Only 2 have lawsuits pending. And the prosecutor said both are wealthy themselves. One woman who testified said she was raped by Alone Alexander in Aspen, Colorado in 2017. She was only 17 years old at the time, daughter of a billionaire. So, when you look at something like this, the victims said, they just want to feel like, they won't hurt people anymore. And, if you are a victim of sexual assault like I am, you just want to think that it doesn't happen to anybody, that, payback comes or karma comes. And I hope these women, can feel like justice has been served. I'm not exactly sure what the sentence is going to be, but, when you hear of things like this, people think, gosh, rape only happens in alleys somewhere. And I mean, it's anywhere. It's the sexual assault, unfortunately, is so rampant. Sex trafficking, drugging people, so rampant that, we're a lot more loose and relaxed, and we don't have our guard up as much. And I think people hone in on that. And I think there are individuals and predators who know that, we, aren't, I guess, on the lookout or aren't aware. And, I don't have a daughter, but if I did, man, I would be arming her with, pepper spray and knives and teaching, I was taught in school that, God forbid, if you are ever attacked, don't scream rape, I'm being raped, scream fire, because bystanders won't come and help you if they think you're being raped or they think that there's somebody that's, going to be dangerous. But fire, everybody wants to come and look at a fire. And that's how you could get people to come and help you. I was also taught that you make yourself as disgusting as possible. You vomit on them, you pee on them, you do whatever you can. Unfortunately, when it happens, and it happened to me, you freeze. You a lot of times you freeze. You don't want to, but you're in shock. And so, unfortunately, many people don't feel like they could fight back like they need to. Well, hopefully these women can find some solace in the justice served, and the Alexander brothers are convicted. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Dahlia. As many of you know, I lost another colleague to suicide. And tragically, tens of thousands of Americans, including hundreds of physicians, take their lives each year. Why is suicide so common? Why doctors? Even medical students have alarming suicide rates. Nurse burnout is at an all-time high. Maybe it's the monstrous workloads we face every day. Maybe it's because of burnout, malpractice suits, online reviews. Medicine has changed so rapidly that it's almost unrecognizable to those of us who entered this field and wanted to take it by storm. But there's not a lot of resources out there for healthcare providers who deny that they are struggling or at risk. So my book, The Depressed Doctor, aims to change that for both the physician and medical student and anyone else who is struggling. Find The Depressed Doctor on Amazon or at drdahlia.com. And if you are currently struggling, call or text 988, the National Suicide Prevention and Crisis Hotline. Don't wait. The silence is killing us.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regenerations. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, Fine Farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com.
Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So you're going to see these headlines saying that if a woman goes to get her mammogram, it might also be able to tell at the same time if she's having heart disease. Now, I go for my mammograms, but I got to tell you, I drag my feet. And I sometimes have to drag the tatas too. And that's what happens after you breastfeed a couple kids. But I am dragging into the mammogram center. But if you told me that I could get a twofer, well, so to speak, no pun intended, where you could actually tell me that you could see other pathology going on with another organ system, I'm down. Well, this is where it's coming from. And this isn't brand new science, but basically AI being incorporated now into a lot of medicine. Even though I am very cautious because once AI is incorporated, many of us lose our jobs. And we have an over-reliance on the computer and not instinct, because I really, really love doctors that use instinct because, boy, have they saved lives. However, you have a lot of doctors that are lazy, so we need AI to ensure that things don't get missed. But they're saying that a team from Emory University analyzed regular screening scans for more than 123,000 women who had no history of cardiovascular disease. And they used an AI program to quantify if there was calcification or hardening in their arteries. And they found that people with severe cases carry 2 to 3 times the risk of developing potentially fatal heart attacks, stroke, and heart failure. Now, I know some of you are like, what are you talking about? We could have been doing this the whole time, using artificial intelligence to help spot dangerous calcium buildups and arteriosclerosis and things like that. Well, a lot of us doctors have already been looking for that. So we had an x-ray in my office. My husband's a chiropractor. So when we would do cervical spine x-rays, you bet your ass I'm looking at the carotids. And if I see calcific plaquing, calcium deposits in the carotids, I'm telling that patient, you need to get yourself seen. You got some serious arteriosclerosis. Even if that patient wasn't even mine. And they came in for chiropractic. I'm like, look at your neck. These are calcium. We're picking up calcium on a simple x-ray. Same thing with seeing that in somebody's legs or hips. Having been an ER doc and an urgent care doctor, I used x-ray. as opposed to sending somebody out to get an x-ray. I could read my own films, and then I would still have a backup, I'd still have a radiologist do a backup read. But I was already doing this. In terms of mammography, when if a radiologist does see calcium plaques and buildup, they will say something. But for an AI program to automatically do it, that could be pretty cool. According to Dr. Hari Trivedi, they said that the risk of developing potential fatal heart attack, stroke, and heart failure was true even in younger women under 50, a group considered low risk. And they already kind of ruled out if they smoked or diabetes. They filtered that out. Still, they found that even if you didn't smoke or have diabetes, you having these calcium deposits that they could see in blood vessels of the breast was significant. And I think any doctor would agree. It's just the problem is the average doctor also looking for that? Now, somebody could say, but Dr. Dahlia, when I'm getting a mammogram, the job of the doctor is to make sure they are looking at the boobies. Okay, don't be distracted by anything else. But this is an example of where AI is going to be very useful, where we could do 5, 6 things at once with one exam. And so they now say we wanted to test whether AI could use this to identify women at risk of cardiovascular disease at no extra cost and no extra inconvenience. For women, this means a mammogram you're already having could also provide important information about your heart health, prompting a conversation with your doctor about preventative steps like cholesterol, testing, or medication. And this is being reported by Fierce Biotech. So I agree with that. I love the idea of, look, we are going to be, giving you, I guess it's definitely ROI, but I mean, you're getting multiple things for your buck. I love the idea of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I think that's fantastic. However, where I worry is people will say, Dr. Dahlia, I don't have to go and get my heart checked. My mammogram was fine. And I'm like, excuse me, what are you talking about? Well, I had a mammogram. They checked for heart health. I was good. So I don't have to go and check my heart. No, that we have to be very, very careful of that. That's one of the biggest things I'm seeing these days is people will say, I had a physical, got a clean bill of health. I don't have to go and get the colonoscopy. I don't have to go and get and I'm like, you really? What? Well, they did a blood test. But the blood test doesn't do everything that the physical exam does or the stress test does. Things get missed. Where medicine is going is how to deliver medicine to more people cheaper, which is a good thing in terms of getting access to individuals who you wouldn't usually have access. But then on the other end, what that means is for those individuals who need something more than just a basic Obamacare, a physical or screen, things are going to get missed. Like your Obamacare colonoscopy or mammogram that's supposed to get covered is a very, very bare minimum test. But if you're like me with high risk, it doesn't cover that. And so if I say just do the Obamacare test, I'm going to have stuff missed. And so we're not there yet. We're not where we need to be. I want everybody to get the best medical care. And, if that doctor's on the hunt to make sure that they're finding, melanoma, behind your ear or on your butt or under your toenail. I mean, I want to make sure that everybody gets the same quality care. Unfortunately, that's not the way it is in life. And so there's going to be this big push to let's do as much as possible, as cheaply as possible. But AI, at least can add a layer of protection. And, and that's kind of where we're going now, where we know that people aren't going to the doctor anymore. They're using telemedicine. We know that they don't want to get their physicals. We know their deductibles are higher. Their health insurance stinks. So what else could we do to red flag them and say, look, we think something's going wrong. Get back into a doctor. Well, adding AI and adding extra, exams to the one exam that they are allowing us to do on them. I mean, just like with pap smears, it's really, really difficult to get women to go and get pap smears anymore. Nobody likes to do it. Nobody liked to do it before, but that was the only way we could get our birth control. Now, I don't think birth control should have ever been held hostage. I love the idea that people could get birth control if they want to, but if nobody's going in for their pap smears, then unfortunately they could be at risk for cervical cancer or vaginal cancer or a melanoma in that area or prolapse or infertility or other things, STIs. So how do we, so we're going to be working more towards where we're moving with medicine is doing more tests at home, screens at home. But, some of you are saying, yeah, my Apple Watch is screening me fine. I have no heart disease. No, sorry, guys. I love Apple Watch. I have one. But if you're having a clogged coronary artery, I don't think your Apple Watch is going to pick it up as early as we need it to. So look at what, you have and what's available to you. And before things change and before it starts to become really, really difficult to go to a medical provider and get the test you want, get checked out. Don't let anything, don't think that just your mammogram is going to handle it all or your prostate exam is going to handle it all. You got a lot of body parts. You got a lot of organs. And when your doctor says you have a clean bill of health, ask him, how's my liver? How's my kidneys? Do I have colon cancer? 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
We're back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. So President Trump said he will not sign any bills into law until the Save America Act passes. And this is regarding safeguarding American voter eligibility, SAVE. Now, it's been approved in the Senate, and I believe it's now with the House. But this is huge, not only for Republicans, but for Democrats as well. As we remember, President Carter had joined the Carter-Baker Commission looking at federal elections and integrity. And, even they had recognized, as I think anybody else would, who goes to grade school, that, quote, absentee ballots remain the largest source of potential voter fraud. And so here we are, because of, under the guise of COVID, we had to give everybody mail-in ballots. We watched this unfold going, say what? And I know many people are like, gosh, well, the election wasn't stolen, or they disproved it, or states. My issue is I had personal issues with the mail-in ballot, where half my family got one, half didn't. And then when I went to vote, they were like, you aren't even in the system. I'm like, how can I not be in the system? I've registered to vote and I've voted. They go, when have you ever voted in Clark County? I go, yes, I've voted in every election. What are you talking about? So there was, I think, an overwhelming of the system. And that was my biggest issue, is mail-in ballots are fantastic for those who are overseas, those who are physically unable to make it to the ballots. And so the, handful in the thousands that we're looking at who need to use it, it is fantastic that they have a vote. But it's a handful compared to the whole entire district or state. Instead, with COVID, it's no, everybody needs to get mail-in ballots. And the way they did it is they didn't say, look, you need to ask for a mail-in ballot. You need to submit for one. This will then terminate your ability to vote in person, because you will get this ballot, so you only have one vote. And now there's accountability. If you don't get that ballot, then, we will electronically terminate that paper ballot so you could go in to vote. But there should have been accountability. But instead, I go to the mailbox and there's 2 mail-in ballots for a family of 4. Well, where's the other 2? We all registered to vote. Where did my other 2 go? This is confusing. And then voter ID. I said, my friend's kid goes to vote, walks into the poll in Texas, and they say, sorry, you already voted. He said, no, I didn't. I've never voted. No. They said, yeah, in Colorado. You already submitted a ballot. Whoa, I haven't been to Colorado. I mean, this is frightening. Absolutely frightening. So President Trump says, I, as president, will not sign other bills until this is passed, and not the watered-down version. Go for the gold. Must show voter ID, proof of citizenship, no mail-in ballots except for military, illness, and disability. Now, seeing Jimmy Carter even agree and acknowledge that. And we believe it's because I think with his first election, there were concerns about fraud and election integrity isn't for Republicans. It's for everybody, Republicans and Democrats. I know people like to think that, Democrats are the ones that, have the, the monopoly on cheating, but anybody could cheat. Why don't you want to build a system that protects that? It's just so obvious when somebody says, no voter ID. We don't need that. So, Senator Majority Leader John Thune has been asked to, use a filibuster to pass the bill. The filibuster would force Democrats, to speak continuously on the Senate floor to delay a vote on the bill. But if they cede the floor, Republicans could circumvent the need for a 60-vote majority and pass the measure with 51 votes, according to The Hill. We've talked about the filibuster, and we've talked about this. Of course, the Republicans are concerned because if they do lose control, of the Senate in an upcoming election, then Puerto Rico becomes a state, Washington, D.C. becomes a state, the Supreme Court could be packed, and they're worried that these sorts of things could then happen by majority rule. The Constitution is supposed to protect. There's supposed to be checks and balances, but also an issue like this shouldn't be so narrowly divided. Now, I know people get very frustrated that you have to have 60 votes, but the reason why those rules are in place is because We don't want something so egregious for one party or another. I mean, to make a new state, to include another state, to change the dynamics of the Supreme Court, that's huge. And to leave that to a slim margin of, the House or the Senate was completely divided. No, majority rules, but this should be something that's common sense and bipartisan. That's why, they have these rules. But something like this, like voter ID, making sure mail-in ballots are available for military and those who are sick and ill, but not, people do need to go and vote. It's crazy to think it isn't bipartisan, unless, of course, there's a reason that people really, really want to have access to these mail-in ballots. And when they say, well, it's because women can't get ID. If women are not able to get IDs and they're not able to rent cars or fly a plane or get their own apartment, okay, that sounds like a public crisis that needs to be addressed immediately. What's going on here? It's beyond ridiculous. So, I mean, should Trump not sign any more bills? I mean, I understand that this is crucial. There's a midterm coming up, and it's to me, that's the big problem, that people feel that whoever is in power will never allow the other party to ever be in power again. That is frightening. But that's where people stand now. People say, well, maybe the Republicans should have packed the courts. Maybe Republicans should have done more gerrymandering. Maybe Republicans should have done this. They don't want that sort of stereotype, or that they don't want that reputation. But will the Democrats do it? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, common sense, fair, and keep in mind that if Democrats can't maintain election integrity because of mail-in ballots, they could lose elections too. I'm an American. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican, American. That's where I stand. And America has an ability to vote that is so sacred, that is so amazing, that people died protecting our freedoms for. And we're going to say, yeah, let's just mail everybody a bunch of packets and we'll have little circles in there. And so we'll know what you vote. I mean, oh my gosh. But people say, well, it's a revolution. We have to do this. No, you don't. Okay, America comes first. We don't want to be ruled by single party. This isn't, fascist country. We want opinions. We want we want common sense. If you really have a popular platform, if your party is really that popular, it doesn't matter if it's mail-in ballots or people coming in to vote. You'll get the votes. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA1. That's 800-JBS-USA1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA1 today.